Oh yeah, I've been waiting to talk about this one. The Walking Dead Season 3. Now, that's the season that was a true turning point for me, because that was the season that was about men versus men. I mean, even the slogan is called Fight the Dead, Fear the Living, because this is what The Walking Dead is all about. The real dangerous aspect of this world are people, not the walkers, and this season really explored that. After our group got separated from Andrea, they stumble upon a prison and they're like, this is the perfect home for us. It's got walls, we have to go in there. And they conquer this prison, even though there are still some inmates in there, and some of them end up being slaughtered by Rick. Because Rick, at this point, he's not our typical hero anymore. He will kill you if he has to. If he feels the urgency, he will kill you. So there are a lot of shades of gray. Lori, in the meantime, is like 8 months pregnant. And then chaos ensues. After one of the evil inmates lets in some walkers on purpose, T-Dog is killed, and Lori dies while giving birth to Judith. I mean, I didn't miss her, but it was a hard scene, and Carl is the one to shoot her, because this was a very important scene for Carl, because finally Carl becomes a man, which is very important. But this was the part where Rick started to get on my nerves, because after Lori dies, he loses his shit and he just starts seeing things. Everyone doubts his leadership, and this is the part where Daryl really steps up, and Daryl becomes the hero of the group for quite some time. But now let's get to Andrea, because the shadowy figure that saved her is Michonne. An all-time favorite comic book character, finally made it into the show as well. And while she's a complete badass, probably the most badass at this point in time, I really couldn't relate to her because she was just so rough, but she hardly ever spoke, and that kind of got on my nerves, to be quite honest, at least in the beginning. But they are found by this guy called the Governor, who has a town called Woodbury. He seems nice and all, but he's actually psychotic. Yes, he kills other people, steals their shit, and this is how he built that community. And it gets even worse. Merle is still alive. Now he has a knife for a hand, and he is the second guy in charge of Woodbury. Michonne stabs the Governor in the eye. She flees. Andrea wants to stay because Andrea is just a horrible person. I hate Andrea. She fell in love with the Governor, for fuck's sake. And Michonne actually meets Rick. She finds the prison. Merle also realizes that his brother is not dead, so he even joins forces with Rick. And the Governor is like, I'm taking that prison. So now we have a confrontation. Now this season is very different. To me, it felt much more intimate. Having that group at the prison, having the menace from outside, and this time there are people, makes it so much more relatable, so much more personal. And I loved all the character developments. Rick's going insane is important because our lead character showed some vulnerability, and that's always important. Daryl had a dilemma because he had to choose between his asshole brother and the group that he loved, and he actually decided to pick the group. And his brother actually came around and died a hero, which is something I loved. Yes, he sacrificed himself for his brother. Michonne, in the beginning, I didn't like her at all. However, once she started interacting with Merle, I started to see the human inside of her, and I continue to love her as the show progresses. Carol at this point is just a badass, let's face it. At this point, she is already badass. She is mowing walkers down left and right. She is not the crybaby she used to be. She is a badass woman. And Glenn becomes a man after being tortured by the Governor. And he and Maggie actually get engaged or married. Yeah, they get married. And Hershel loses his leg because a walker bit him. Rick cut off his leg, but he survived it. And Hershel was the character that I also started to love in this season because he really became the dad of the group, the conscience of the group, something that I thought died with Dale. So that was really interesting. The dynamic between two different camps attacking one another was great. Carl starting to step up, Carl becoming a character was interesting. So that season, even though it had its ups and downs, and even though it had a couple filler episodes that I really didn't like, I thought the season was fabulous. And we got to see Morgan again. Turns out he's insane. He lost his son. He's locked up in a town all by himself and he doesn't want to join any other people. However, I will get to Morgan in my season 5 review. So what did you think of season 3? Let me know in the comment section below. And thank you guys, as always, for watching. And if you like what you see here and you want to see more, then just subscribe.